Well, the South American ayahuasca experience, as I learned it, um, now 30 some years ago and before ayahuasca tourism existed, um, was even then, though, in flux. I think it's always been in flux as it's handed around from semi-nomadic people influencing each other throughout the Amazon for who knows how many thousands of years that they've been doing it. Um, and then the colonization and the rise of mestizo people, mixed European and indigenous Indian and Black African blended in there. So the traditions are mutable and they keep evolving. But the Western Amazon tradition is basically to brew ayahuasca from the two plants, and sometimes other plants called admixture plants. Others are added to kind of fiddle with it, to fiddle with the microscope, sort of. But they're basically the DMT-containing plant and then the plant that makes the DMT active, digestible. And so that long brewing, the collecting process and the brewing process is really part of the magic of the medicine. It's wonderful to be able to go out into the wild and actually collect those plants and brew them with these ayahuasqueros, these people who make it their life's work to know these plants. And then in the ceremony itself, people gather. My apprenticeship back in the 70s was that the old ayahuasquero that I was working with had 2 ceremonies a week, and on Saturday nights he would open it to the community, and maybe 20 to 30 people would come, and at least 2/3 of those would take the medicine. Others just came to be around people who were taking the medicine, hear the songs and feel the energy, and he would dose out a little bit of this powerful tea to each of those people, and in the dark, in pure dark, in a little structure in the jungle. And then we would sit quietly with it for a little bit, and then he would begin to sing songs that invoked certain spirits to come and join this group of people. And these songs were sort of the key that would open the doorway for this spirit or that one to come through. Forest beings, various plant spirits, ancestors, and then it would get rolling, and the visions would get rolling, and the singing would happen, led mostly by the ayahuasquero or his other friends who were often also very accomplished ayahuasca shamans. They would come to visit and share songs. There would be song teaching that went on, but also sometimes new songs come in on the wavelengths, and that's really a gift when that happens. There are songs that affect the topography of the trip. So the intensity can be guided and expanded or contracted or gentled down or energized by that, also by movement and by sense and by other things that are brought into the ceremony. And then there's the healing aspect, and people often came to those to be healed. So maybe there would be 4 or 5 or 6 people who were pretty sick with one thing or another, sometimes physical, sometimes mental or spiritual illnesses. And in most other cultures, those distinctions aren't as clear as they are here. And so what we think of as a physical illness might have a magical cure, or it might be seen as actually a kind of variation in the way you're being in the world. You need to change that. And so that would come through, the diagnosis and the cure would come through during the ceremony. And healings would go on. It involved blowing and brushing and talking sometimes, and singing, but then also just something, what would be invisible in daylight, movement of substance, movement of energy, removal of something dark, removal of shadows, the restoration of beautiful patterns. And there's a tradition in the Amazon of seeing a healthy or whole person as covered in a very beautiful, intricate, symmetrical pattern. And a sick person or a very troubled person, their patterns are askew or darkened. And so part of the shaman's job in that state, and the supplicant as well, is to try to become this kind of like a kind of tattooing that is only seen in this state, to try to have it all be restored to a harmonious design. And then this was Don Fidel Mozambite that I worked with back in the 70s, and Terrence and another friend were there. And he, on Wednesday...
Pause for 1 second. Siren goes by.
So on Saturday nights, he did the community sessions, and on Wednesday nights, he did his own investigations. And so this is when he would take his brew, and he brewed once a week. And no two brews turn out the same, because it's like a great chef. You're always taking the same ingredients, perhaps, but there's something a little different. There's a little bit shorter or longer cooking time. The plants came from different parts of the jungle. There's a different vibe that day. There's, all sorts of things going into it. Who passed by? And so then on Wednesday nights, he would do his experimentation so that he could learn to attract new songs, learn better healing techniques, perhaps have a couple of very experienced people come do it with him. And I was honored to be included in those Wednesday night sessions for many, many weeks. And sometimes he would be looking at the medicine that the community needed, what was out of sorts, what insight was necessary to be able to just pass on through daily life. So he was the healer on another level then, and looking for balance again on another level. And also he would use the ayahuasca as a kind of microscope, because he could put a bit of another plant into it, and then by that tiny bit of chemical and entity change in the tea, he would be able to understand something about it by drinking it in the context of his powerful ayahuasca that he already knew.